Welcome back, loyal OldSillyStick fans. Last episode, we were discussing Big Nate and how sus he is. Oh, I should have done that. Well, I already made a mistake by not using my mini-mush. I didn't even... Alright, whatever. I was too focused on this. Stealing... Oh, wait, I'm an idiot. Sorry, in my head I was thinking I was going to steal a star, but nobody has a star. This is starting off great. Yeah, for those of you who are just tuning in, who have never watched OldSillyStick, I don't always pay attention to the game as much as I should, because I'm usually talking about other things besides Mario Party. I talk about pretty much anything besides Mario Party. This is just some nice, consider it background noise or something. Yeah, so Big Nate was the topic last time. I gotta admit, that was the main reason I wanted to do a board playthrough tonight. It is 4:08 a.m., February 2nd. So at this point, I'm not sure what I want to discuss, but that's fine. I am mainly doing this for myself. I understand. I know I say at the beginning of every episode so far, I think of this series, I've been saying it pretty regularly, something like, welcome back, OldSillyStick fans. I'm aware that I really do not have very much of a following, but I kind of like that. In fact, it's funny, I guess here's something to talk about. Joe Rogan. Talk about the pressures of having a large following. He came out with some big apology. I didn't watch the video because it was 10 minutes long. I didn't feel like watching it, but yeah, part of it though is just him saying, look, you know, I was just a guy who wanted to talk to people, and now I have a big following. And look, whatever, I'm not going to get into the whole thing with Joe Rogan. Well, of course I'm going to get into it a little bit, but anyways, the point is, like, whatever you think about it, it's probably true. I think that much is valid and authentic about Joe Rogan. He is just some guy who probably never expected his podcast to take off. I'm not very good at Trace Race in this game, unfortunately. I think it's because, well, I don't want to totally blame it. Whatever. Maybe I'm not good at the game. It's probably part of it. But also, it doesn't help that, unfortunately, the emulator doesn't run as well as it could have, because I can't really see the line that I'm tracing. I just have to base it on the crayon, which is less accurate. But if you want to blame me, fine. I'll take some responsibility for not doing so well. Yeah, but so I don't have to worry about what I talk about on this show, whether it spreads COVID disinformation, or anything, or whether it's even entertaining, or whether it's coherent, because nobody's watching this. So I just get to practice my improv and talking skills, and also have some fun playing Mario Party. I will say, for those, I'm thinking of like 3 different things. So okay, let me just get this out of the way right now. So, some episode ago, I was talking about sort of lefty political labor issues. I don't want to talk about that right now, but I will say, I did mention the subreddit anti-work. I would be amiss to not mention, just a few days after I made those videos, the Reddit page, anti-work, sure had a brouhaha. You can look it up if you're interested. Yes, I watched the interview. It's extremely embarrassing. Though it is important to remember, it didn't... You shouldn't say that it killed the anti-work movement. Now, whether it killed the subreddit, I don't know. I'm probably not going to go on it nearly as much as I used to, if at all. But it's important to know that the movement of people, such as the Great Resignation, people not accepting poor working conditions, that is far greater than a little itty-bitty subreddit. So that's all I'll say about that. But I think I've said enough on that matter. I guess I'll talk about the game a little bit, because I have to think about what item I want to get. I'm fine with where the star is. I'm fine with people not having it. Is there any other... I think I might just want to save my coins at this point and try for the coin star. I think that might be the move. I don't think anybody has any... Well... Opponent chosen at random. Or pipe. Yeah, I don't think I need any of this. Don't buy anything. If they had a magic lamp, I may have bought it, but... Even then, I kind of like the fact that nobody is able to get the star. Okay, so what were some of the other things I wanted to talk about? I either have 3 things on my mind or none on my mind. So something about Joe Rogan. I don't listen to Joe Rogan, really. I admit I was sort of impressed a few years ago when he had on Andrew Yang and Bernie Sanders. But, yeah. Because, look... And it's especially interesting because there's all the book bannings that are happening right now as well beside this. And so it's really just got me thinking about the First Amendment. Whether or not Joe Rogan should be able to have this podcast up. Whether Spotify should be able to take it down. I mean, granted, Spotify is a private company. And so they technically have the right to, but whether they ought to, I get, you know, I don't listen that much to Joe Rogan, so I can't totally assess him as a character or anything. I sort of appreciate the idea of, at least in theory, having this space where you're having conversations with people across the political spectrum or something. I'm not convinced that's what Joe Rogan really is. Just looking, especially just that sort of his buddies tend to be sort of on the so-called alt-right. I think Rogan does tend to be more right-wing than he and perhaps his fans let on. Yeah. I mean, because there's so many questions. I mean, so first of all, the responsibilities of somebody that has a platform. I think it's clear that Joe Rogan should not be spreading disinformation. If I had a big platform, which I don't, I would not want to be telling people to take ivermectin, the horse dewormer. That's too bad. Alright. So maybe my strategy backfired and not getting the star, because now Waluigi is just going to get the star. But, oh well. We'll see. I think I'm still in the running. I have coins, I'm winning many games. I think I'm alright. I do... I know I don't take the games so seriously, but I do like to win. I do want to make some effort. And so, last time when I lost... And I think it did come down to the decision of me buying the item bag instead of buying the magic lamp. If pressed with that decision, again, I will probably choose the magic lamp, unless I'm feeling lucky or something, or just, even if I'm not feeling lucky, I just want to take the risk. Alright, Joe Rogan, yes, if I had a big platform, I would not do that, but whether or not, should he, yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's so hard because, I mean, I see myself as somebody who does value, if you would like to call it, the marketplace of ideas or something sort of, whatever. John Stuart Mill's On Liberty was a pretty influential book for me when I read it at 16. And I thought, wow, it is good to look at different perspectives. I'm not sure I always amount to that, but at least I hope to. I have been reading the Bible, to be fair, so I'm totally... Not totally shirking. Is that a word? Shirking the other side. But, well, I'm not going to get into whether the Bible is conservative or liberal or not, I guess. But, I think it's hard because, would people who listen to Joe Rogan listen to anything else? You know, I mean, Joe Rogan pretends to be a kind of equal opportunity listener. Oh, I'll have people on from across the political spectrum. But if that's not true, if it really is just a sort of right-wing pipeline. And it's not, by the way, just, oh, because he's conservative. I'm willing to allow, look, you know, if he had on, I don't know who the right-wing intellectuals of the day are. I mean, you know, I've read some Hayek, I've read some Milton, whatever. I mean, that stuff, whenever I try and look at the other side, which for me is the right because I consider myself on the left, if I'm going to do it in a way that isn't just straw manning, that's not just picking, oh, see, this is interesting. Well, I don't want to use that because I have all these other ones. So buying the item bag right now would not be smart because I'd only be getting one item. But I don't really feel like using my minis. I guess I could just to get rid of them. But if I'm first place, they're not going to want to give me the magic lamp available at the store. So if I want a magic lamp, it would have to be through the item bag. So maybe I'll consider it. But anyways, yeah, I tend to read, I think economics, if anybody is on the left and interested in learning about the right, that isn't something like Ben Shapiro or Rush Limbaugh or Tucker Carlson or something, which just feels like a lowest common denominator conservatism. I think that economics is an interesting one, especially because it gets away from what feels more like just partisan issues, but thinking about whether capitalism or socialism, whether market or centralized economies sort of thing is better. That feels like a more substantial kind of question. But I saw something, apparently Joe Rogan had Jordan Peterson on. So first of all, Jordan Peterson is trying to make some sort of argument against climate change, which is ridiculous. That's an issue I'm not going to budge on, at least until there is evidence. Look, if there was a good argument that climate change isn't real, then I would change my opinion, but as of now, science is pretty clearly in favor of climate change being real. I said I wasn't going to get political this episode. I don't know what to tell you. Do I want to keep talking about Jordan? Look, okay, but even aside from that, apparently Jordan Peterson and Joe Rogan were having a conversation about who is black. They're saying some guy isn't really black. I mean, what? From any side of the political spectrum, white people talking about what makes a person black or not black is just weird. Unless it's one of those cases where, who is the head of the NAACP in about 2015, who apparently was not really black. Okay, that's different. But anyways, I don't know if I've come to any conclusion on Joe Rogan. And I like talking about politics, but I try to mix things up on OldSillyStick. I'm very conscious of what I make videos on, what I don't make videos on. I mean, ultimately, it's what I like doing. I found sometimes the stuff I don't think anyone would care about. I'm really surprised that Fragmentist Study Bible did well. That was just a total spur-of-the-moment decision. But yeah, I guess that's the question. And that's the deep question. What do I want? I think it is, I think, what do I want to talk about? That's a really, because there's been, I think a lot about stuff that I want to talk about on OldSillyStick. But I always think, do I want to go there, or can I articulate that well? What is that? I won't take the train. I don't know what's gonna happen. I guess just nothing. Where am I going? Okay, I need to go there. How do I get there? I go that way. Probably not gonna win the race. I feel like I should use the mini mushroom just for the sake of getting it out of my items, but I don't want to. I don't think it's advantageous for me to do it. Okay, good to know. Lottery shop, definitely taking it. Well, what I should see what turn it is, because there's a rant that I've been thinking about for a while now, but if the episode is almost over, I don't want to start it. It's a little, I don't know. Well, okay, this is turn 10, so maybe next episode we're gonna do some analysis. I think that might be what I do. Of course, in the little pause between episodes, I might change my mind, but I think that's what's gonna happen. So I guess so the first episode was about Big Nate being sus. This episode, I guess, was about Joe Rogan. And I guess the marketplace of ideas of taking everybody's view into consideration, looking at things. Do I want to come to any conclusion to that? I guess, in principle, if that was really what Joe Rogan is about, I might like it, but it feels very weighted in favor of just espousing right-wing, anti-science conspiracy theories. Would be my thing on it. I don't use Spotify anyways, so I can't really boycott something that I don't use. Yeah, that's my opinion. If Spotify takes Joe Rogan off, he'll live. I will say this. People have said before, I'm thinking particularly around 2016, when Alex Jones was all the rage and quite controversial, especially with his Sandy Hook comments, and it seemed that his content was doing harm. And I will say this, whatever you think about freedom of speech, if... What button do I press? A? Looks like I'm not going enough. There is a case, if you're inciting violence or something like that, there are cases where your speech is not protected. So, not all freedom of speech is free. Even go back to On Liberty by John Stuart Mill. There are some things which you can't get away with saying. But anyways, the fact is, because some have said, and in some cases this might be true, that banning something just makes it more popular. Now, Mouse, which was banned and is now, well, it was some school district, I think in Tennessee, banned it from their public libraries, or their school libraries or something. And so it got a lot of attention, and many people are now reading Mouse. So that's a case where it helped. But Alex Jones is a case, and I think the key thing is deplatforming. If a person gets deplatforming works, and even Donald Trump was a sign of deplatforming. He is far less prevalent now, not just because he isn't president, but because he is off Twitter. So banning something sometimes can make it more popular, but I think deplatforming, because people just go on whatever platforms they go on. They don't want to go to some other site just for what Alex Jones or what Donald Trump or what Joe Rogan says. Now, if Joe Rogan is on some other platform that people use, like YouTube, then deplatforming probably won't hurt him. But anyways, I might get into some analysis next episode, I'm not sure. But stay tuned for Old Silly Stick.